Welcome back to another episode of Wyrms, Wyrms, and Wyrms. Today we turn our talons to the Southeast Alaskan pygmy gold, hunting for refuge inside of its correct habitat of the Golden Grotto, but without the proper nourishment of the meat that it needs to be placed within the cave. Well, then I'm afraid this fella's tale is tied.
Wyrmspan, Stonemaier Games' sequel and latest entry in the cinematic Spaniverse to their 2019 smash hit Wingspan, is a game of dragon taming, mountain shaping, and point scraping. On your turn, you can excavate a section of one of the 3 habitat rows on your board by laying a cave card and resolving its when played effect. Play a dragon to one of the now open spaces on your board, or take a walk, using your explorer to track spaces left to right in their habitats, gaining the benefit of every space between played dragons and explorer powers that happen to be on top of the dragons until ending their sojourn on an undragoned space. Players rotate their turns until everyone passes or runs out of what may be the most deluxe feeling ultra shiny cardboard coins in existence, which are generally a currency paid to take actions. Then gain some end of round bonus point rankings established during setup, continue through 4 rounds, then tally up points. Now, the keen observer will have already noticed some key differences between Wingspan and its draconic Valonqar, particularly the need to excavate, the taking the actions for each of your rows from left to right rather than vice versa, and the variable number of actions you can take in a round based off of an expendable resource. For the most part, Wyrmspan makes good on the pitch of Wingspan, but what if dragons? But if that were its only ambition, then it'd honestly be a pretty big disappointment. However, the game actually comes with a notable lift in complexity that makes it feel like a bird of another feather. The most obvious alteration at the table is the introduction of guilds, a central rondel with 4 interchangeable guild cards at the center, each giving a sesh of Wyrmspan a different flavor. Each notch of the merry-go-round gives a resource except for the 12 and 6 o'clock spots, where you get to put out a cube claiming a guild benefit. Play a cave immediately for free, or how about a dragon? Or maybe you get bonus points based on food or eggs, or just straight up bonus points at the end of the game. Your guild marker notches up anytime you see a guild symbol, including adventuring in all 3 cave paths once you get to a certain level, but it's totally an optional avenue to explore as part of your strategy, adding a layer of nuance and opportunity to the game. There are real long-term benefits to scooting around the track, but sometimes it's a well-timed immediate benefit you're after when looking to score a meat or milk or an elusive action coin. And that's where this game feels like the biggest departure. If Wingspan was a game of light engine building, prioritizing powerful avian wombo combos to exploit, Wyrmspan is much more a game of sequencing. There's far more emphasis on when played or end-of-round powers, resource management, including coins, cards, food to pay for dragons, and eggs, which, unlike its predecessor, are used more as a tax to repeatedly using the same row action, which itself discourages that sort of optimum path play. This has some huge, juicy, gamey benefits, but comes at some not insignificant costs. Strategically speaking, in this game, you have to care so much more about what you do, when you do it, what you're going to do in what order, and how to take advantage of the here and now. It also means you're less at the mercy of good or bad draws, since many of your dragons aren't essential components of an engine. Your benefits from walkabouts amplify the more dragons you flop down, whether or not they have when exploring powers. Though certain combinations can have explosive turns with this triggering that, which triggers that and allows you to pay for this and ultimately get that, which is probably why they put a cap on a max of 3 passes through each row per round. On the other hand, it also kind of homogenizes the game. There's no big goose tuck combo, no raven egg row hacks. No, for the most part, the 3 rows don't feel altogether that distinct from one another. Sure, one nets you food, 1 dragon cards, 1 cave cards, but all can get you eggs, guild bonuses, and a bonus coin for excavating the row's last cave. When they get you a little bit of everything and dragons can have any thematic ties that you want, it just makes it so each habitat doesn't have as much of a cohesive vibe. Which is okay, but it is a trade-off. Ultimately, the fantastic, incredibly imaginative dragon illustrations and the really lavish components sell the presentation really well. There's just less resonance coming off of it, less tangibility to work with. But what you gain is more strategic oomph, more avenues to play with, and a brilliant departure of a theme to really help the game stand apart. Wyrmspan is expertly crafted to be a familiar alternative to Wingspan, an unquestioned favorite in Cardboard Herald HQ. If we were to take only one, it'd honestly still be the original, which feels so singular, focused, and bridges the thematic and complexity gap between more casual and dedicated audiences, where Wyrmspan is solidly more challenging, more niche, and more busy. But fortunately, we don't have to choose. Like any great sequel, Wyrmspan shines brilliantly on its own while still fully reflecting on and reacting to what came in the past. And while in this household, we try to be really diligent about keeping our collection down from exploding from a growth problem and trying to eliminate too many duplicative experiences, this is one pair of games where we don't mind holding on to both. And that's our review, but let me know, what is your favorite dragon of all time? Bonus points if you can name a game in which that dragon is featured. Put it in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, thanks for being such a great community. You know that I've been Jack for Wyrms.